Well, San Diego was one of several stops for the president during his visit to California. Aside from raising money for his re-election campaign, he's also promoting his jobs plan.
Tonight, Congressman Bilbray says that some burdensome regulations by the FDA are threatening jobs in Southern California's thriving biotech industry. And he's here tonight to tell us more. Thanks for being in here tonight. What kind of regulations are we talking about?
Well, look, we're talking about we've got a life science industry here that employs 40,000 people, saves people's lives, but you've got regulations that are literally stopping researchers and medical breakthroughs from being able to be made available to patients who desperately need it. Happily, we've been able to point out some of this. The FDA just this week admitted that they had turned down a local business that has a scanner that can detect melanoma, something that kills 8,700 people every year. Something that's kind of near and dear to me, being a former lifeguard and a surfer. But it's that kind of regulation that stops not only a business from being able to make a profit and employ people, but also save lives. And that's the frustration. And sadly, you get all the attention on demonstrators against the president, where I would have loved to have the president and the demonstrators down hearing the local businessmen that say, look, you've got to make it legal for us to be in business and to save lives. And that kind of thing, the federal government has an obligation to work on. We stick our nose into a lot of things that's not our constitutional responsibility, but FDA is a federal responsibility.
So the bottom line here, a lot of red tape coming from the FDA. What should be done to speed up the process, the regulatory process for these companies?
Well, the first thing you do is learn that back in the 90s, during the AIDS crisis, we allowed AIDS patients to be on the board. So somebody was there to tell the bureaucrat, quit stalling, I need this drug. We should allow the same thing for a cancer patient or an MS patient or a diabetic. Why don't they have the same right to be on a board to push the bureaucracy to get to yes? It's too easy for them to get to no. And so to make the system honest, why don't we change the rules and do things like we did in the 90s for AIDS, for cancer and other drugs? There's also just an institutional mindset. They've got to understand that we've got to have the private sector invest money to create the miracles. The public, and I've worked on that, we do research in the government, but 75% of the research really comes from private investors. We need to understand to encourage that, and right now we're not seeing it. And what I'm worried about, those small little startups in San Diego, are what the big companies get their ideas and get their breakthroughs. And what we're going to see is we're going to kill the little guy, the little venture capital people.
It's costing jobs, right?
It's costing jobs now, and then 10 years from now, our children, our grandchildren, we will not see the medical breakthroughs that will save lives. So it's costing jobs today, and it's going to cost lives tomorrow. That's the kind of thing, as a San Diegans, Democrat or Republican, we need to tell the president and Congress, these are the kind of things we need to change. And the president could change it tomorrow. That's the one thing. You don't need a law to change the FDA. You need to have the leadership at the top say, this has to change.
If you look at a map of biotech companies in the United States, you see that San Diego is inundated with biotech companies. And it's so important to have those innovators here. How is the investment community reacting to these restrictions by the FDA?
It has been decimating the process. We've lost about 50% of our venture capital. And what I'm worried about is with their delays while Europe and China are tooling up and taking it, that we may see half of what is left leaving the country. And remember, it doesn't take decades to, like the automobile industry or the shipbuilding industry, for it to leave. It could take months that we could wake up one morning and everybody in Washington, the way the politicians always do, is, oh, how could this happen? While everybody in Washington is arguing about Democrat or Republican or president or Congress, all at once we're sitting there arguing about things that aren't going to change our children's lives and save jobs while they're leaving the country. And that's why I wanted to have this hearing in San Diego, get these chairmen to listen to what's going on, because honestly, this is a crisis in jobs now, but it's a health crisis for the future. And if there was anything where Democrats and Republicans should be able to work together, it's when we save jobs and save lives. How can you not be willing to work together for that?
Yeah, right.